Hello everybody and welcome to the podcast. This is Mrs. Vicarage. This week we decided to talk about wellbeing, mental health and mindfulness. So what follows are some interviews with the pastoral managers, first of all, talking about their role at the school and what they can do to help you. And then an interview with Miss Anu, who's talking about mindfulness. We hope you enjoy these interviews and you don't mind the bird song that you can hear in the background. If you would like to get involved with the podcast, please do come along Thursday lunchtimes in M1 and myself and Mr. Hunter would be really glad to see you. We want to hear your voices and know what it is you want to listen to. Bye for now.
Welcome to MBVoices podcast. Today we are joined by Mr. Jeffrey and Mrs. Russell, who are two student support managers. So, can you explain the role of the pastoral managers?
Okay, so I'll take that question. So thank you for inviting us. So the role of our job is to look after you guys. It's to make sure that you feel safe and supported in school, and to allow us to enable you to kind of develop your education so that you're feeling happy and healthy and safe in school. So that's essentially it. We can help with a wide range of issues. They can be school-based, home-based, friendship, but in fact anything. I mean, we pretty much deal with pretty much everything, don't we? So it's school, home and everything in between and beyond. We've normally got an answer, but if we don't know the answer, we will find out for you. And we're very good at signposting you to additional support. We tend to work together so that we've got a really good understanding of the students that we work with, and we liaise regularly with your heads of year and your teachers just to ensure that you feel supported and listened to.
What kind of issues are affecting students at the moment?
We've certainly seen an increase in anxiety across all years. This does link to COVID. I think that's a negative effect on lots of people, lots of students, teachers alike. So we've seen a lot more people coming to us with anxiety concerns, advice and strategies, obviously how to deal with that. Personally as well, I'm seeing there's been obviously issues with social media ongoing. I think people have used social media more often during lockdown. That can lead to bullying issues, name calling, etc. And also low self-esteem. Obviously, it's kind of a phrase that didn't used to happen in our day, didn't used to have phones. So, you know, social media can be an issue, and obviously taking a break from that can be really, really useful.
So when people are going through these issues, how can we encourage people to speak out and ask for help?
So I would suggest that in terms of school, we always try and make sure that we're a really visible presence. And I'm sure you're probably already aware that we've got two new behaviour support workers working with us, Mr. Bolton and Mrs. Gardner. So together we offer you lots of support, and that can be accessed on the school website. You can go in via the student portal, make an appointment to see one of us, which we're always happy to do. You can chat to your tutors or a trusted member of staff. So we are accessible to you, and hopefully you see us out and about, and hopefully you feel comfortable enough to say, "Oh, sir, miss, could I have a chat with you?" So that's the aim. We've kind of got not an open door policy, because we have to manage our time effectively, and we're really, really busy. But it allows you the opportunity to check in with one of us, and then we can kind of signpost you to additional support if you need to. We can liaise with home, teachers. We can resolve friendship issues. We can work restoratively with friendship groups. So our remit is quite wide. Hopefully you do all feel supported and you do know how to contact us if you need to.
What sort of things can you do to help people with OCD or anxiety?
Good question. So for me personally, that's first about communication. We need students who are struggling with anxiety, OCD, anything along those lines to come and talk to us, to open up to us and communicate, let us know what's hard for them. In school there's often things we can do. We can communicate with teachers, particularly with regards to OCD, specific things that you might find difficult. linked to anxiety. There might be certain things that trigger you in lessons all around the school, and there are things you can try and put in place that just tweak things a little bit and make your lives a bit easier. We also, as Ms Russell said as well, really good at signposting, and we can point in the right direction of organisations that can help. Within school, we also have good links to Youth in Romsey, which is a local counselling service, and we here have 24 students a week who seek support through there. So that is another good resource we've got on our hands. But initially it's about being brave enough to have that conversation, let us know how you're feeling, and then we'll look at seeing what we can do to help.
Where can students be signposted for extra help and support?
So there are a variety of signposting organisations, and a lot of them are online. As Mr Jeffrey pointed out, we've got Youth in Romsey who come into school but can also be accessed within the Romsey community. And we've also got, if you live Southampton side, we've also got No Limits. So that's another really valuable organisation. We've got a wide list of organisations that we can signpost you to for practically anything. Again, the main thing here, and I think the overarching principle of it all is communication. If you come and see us and chat to us, we can either help you and put something in place, or we can direct you to somebody that is able to help. So we've got organisations ranging from ones around anxiety and OCD, such as STEM4, all the way through down to the NSPCC. I'm sure that's a name you're really familiar with. There's lots of organisations and support out there to help you guys.
How can you ensure that students feel safe at school?
For me, excuse me, that's all about the whole pastoral team working together. And that starts from us, your tutor, heads of year, your teachers as well. And if there is a problem, we communicate that and we ask everyone to keep an eye out for each other. We'll work as a team and work with you to make sure you do feel safe. It kind of works both ways. We need to know what's making you feel unsafe in the first place. If you've got any concerns, we do rely on students to report any issues, whether it be with bullying, anything along those lines. And once we get that information, we work as a team. And we try to make sure everyone that does supervise you, support you through the day, is aware of any concerns you might have. But as I said, it relies really on that communication, really important. I would encourage anybody who's got any concerns to come and let us know. And give us a chance to see what difference we can make.
I think ultimately, if we don't know about it, we can't help. So it is, although it might feel a bit scary, it is really important to try and seek someone out that you trust to share your concern or your worry. And then, if it's not us, then maybe that person, that trusted adult, can then pass the information on to us. Okay?
How would you advise people to deal with bullying and friendship issues?
So in terms of friendship and bullying, we would always encourage you to either seek out your tutor, again, a trusted adult, or come and see us. Again, as I just said, it's around us knowing about it. If we know about it, we can support you. So for example, if there was a bullying issue, you came to student services, one break time say, we would encourage you to fill out a report form. It's really easy to do, it doesn't take long, with as much information as you can, and from there we then take statements from other people. So essentially we build a big picture, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. We build a big picture, and then from there we liaise with your heads of year and teachers to work out a plan to help you feel safe and to ensure that any bullying incidents are dealt with swiftly, and that you feel listened to. I think that's the most important thing. But hopefully you feel listened to and the incident is dealt with swiftly.
Can I just ask a quick question before they do? Have you got any sort of self-care or self-help tips of sort of quick things that we could have in our toolkit if we're feeling particularly stressed, or some students feel they can't stay in lessons? Are there any kind of advice you would give?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously there are methods that we use. We've talked about exit cards, obviously, opportunities to do that, and the chance to take some time out and talk to us, obviously, in your free time, break time, lunchtime, etc. We talked before about distractions being useful, almost grounding techniques. For one, one thing I normally suggest is if a student needs to be distracted from a thought or something that they're having is to play the alphabet game. Not sure if that's anything
Right,
you guys
tell
are
us
useful. So pick a subject, any topic, and you've got to come up with a word beginning with every letter of the alphabet. So you could choose colours and go through the whole alphabet to do that. You could choose animals, anything that interests you. You might have to do the whole alphabet, but doing that task, it gives your brain something to do and distracts you from some of the things that might be going on. So that can help as a distraction task.
Excellent, that's good advice. Did you have any final thoughts, girls?
Yeah.
Boys?
So how can you help people that have exit class stay in lessons? Because some of them find it struggling or quite hard.
I think that's it's a really important thing to think about, isn't it? It's all very well having an exit card and being able to leave the lesson and take some time out. But yeah, how do we support that student to stay in class? And again, it comes down to really open, honest communication with the young person, and also us communicating with your teaching staff to ensure that they are aware of any issues. We don't tend to go into big details. We tend to just give them a brief overview of what's going on, because there could be something very personal going on in your lives that maybe you don't want everyone to know about. So we tend to just give them a very brief overview and just ask them to keep an eye on you, to check in with you, to offer praise and encouragement. So for example, you might have a student that doesn't like being asked questions in front of their peers. I think we all feel a bit uncomfortable sometimes with that, don't we? So there could be a student that feels that way. So what we would suggest is we would send an email to the teachers and just say, just to let you know, let's call them Joe, just to let you know, Joe is feeling quite self-conscious in class. Could you avoid asking him any questions in front of his peers, but could you just discreetly check in with him to check how he's getting on? Hopefully that would make Joe feel more comfortable in class, because he would then feel that the spotlight was off of him, but equally the teacher was listening to him and making sure that he was okay.
And secondly, how can you get an exit card if you need one for medical or just other reasons?
So if you need a medical exit card, then you need to go to Miss Barrett in medical, and she may require information from your parents, or she may call your parents. So that's a fairly straightforward one. With us, if you want an exit card to take time out of lessons, you'd need to either consult possibly your tutor in the first instance if you're competent to. If not, you can come straight to us. What we do is we then would talk through why you think you need one, talk through whether you think it's a good idea or not. We'll then go to your heads of year and we make sure that they are on board. And if they are, then we will get an exit card made up for you, which the idea is that it will give you 5 minutes outside the classroom. Obviously, you need to stay near the classroom in case there's an emergency, and then hopefully it'll help you manage whatever difficulty you're having in the lesson. We do monitor the exit cards on a fairly regular basis termly to make sure it's appropriate that student keeps the exit card. And it may be you need to offer different support if the exit card isn't working, if it's not been used at all, or it's been used too much. So it's something we continually regulate.
I would also add that we do have the quiet bay provision. That's something that's attached to the inclusion room, and that gives students a little bit of time out of classes. So for example, say something had happened at home, you were feeling a little bit distracted, maybe a bit tired, a bit worried, and you didn't feel able to cope. You could use your exit card, show the teacher, and come over to the quiet bay. We would then let the teacher know that you were there, and that gives you 10-15 minutes just to take some time out to chill, maybe do a bit of mindful colouring. One of us will check in with you to make sure you're okay, talk through any worries, think about strategies that we can put in place, and then the hope is then we guide you back to class. So that's another little element of our role that I don't think we've mentioned, have we?
No.
Is that something a student can ask for in class if they feel like they need it, or they think they're having like a panic attack or something like that?
Yeah, that's something that you would discuss with your teacher, and hopefully we would have an awareness of how you were feeling anyway. So we would probably check in with you just to see how you were doing, and we would say to you, look, if you're feeling really overwhelmed, you feel like a panic attack's coming. I mean, actually, that applies to everyone, doesn't it? If you feel really overwhelmed in a class and you feel unable to cope, then you let the teacher know. They can email us, you can come over to us, take some time in the quiet bay, and then we guide you back to class. But what we're doing also as well, we're helping you understand what's happening to you, and we're guiding you through how that might make you feel.
Would you say panic attacks and things like that are increasing or more common? And is there any advice you can give for those kind of anxious moments?
Yes, I would say we are seeing more of them, especially year 11s at the moment. I'd say we've got a busy time at the moment.
Yeah.
The important thing to remember with panic and with a panic attack or anxiety is it's often like a wave. You've got that burst of adrenaline which comes, and that is what causes you to feel the panic. And if you can find some way to just go with it and let it happen, it will pass, and you will come out the other side. And you will be able to carry on. It's just learning some strategies to help you get through that initial moment of panic and not to try and panic too much. Accept what's happening with regards to your body, and then having that understanding can then help you come out the other side and carry on.
I think it's really important in order to help your own mental health. Our mental health is linked to our physical health. They're just as important, aren't they? And I think actually we need to take care of our mental health. So looking at your diet, a lot of sugary junk food can have a really negative effect on your cortisol levels, and can make them quite spiky, and that can also make you feel kind of quite unsettled. So a good balanced diet with a few treats thrown in. Exercise is really, really good for helping your mental health, getting out in the fresh air, and it releases, what does it release?
Happy hormone, isn't it?
It releases
Endorphins.
happy hormones, exactly. Endorphins, thank you. So it releases endorphins, and they're feel-good hormones. So that's another thing. It's also about balance, so ensuring that you're not overdoing it in terms of your schoolwork, communicating if there are any issues, talking to your parents, or if you don't feel like you can talk to your parents, let us know, and we can help you manage it. But it's important that we all look after our mental health by following a decent diet, getting enough sleep, getting some exercise, doing things that you really love, things that bring you joy and passion. That's really important too.
Fantastic. Did you want to say anything else, anybody?
No, but I need to go.
Okay, no problem.
If you have a friend who's going through some stuff but they don't really want to vocalise it to anybody, is there anything that you'd suggest to help them?
I would personally suggest come to talk to a trusted adult, which I mentioned already. Depending on what you tell a trusted adult, we do not have to then go over you to speak to that person if you don't think they want us to. We can advise you on advice you can give them, and we can give you the information of to who they can contact outside of school. There are also other companies, Couth and Childline, which we have information which you can contact anonymously and get advice. Ultimately, from my point of view, I would say eventually the more people that know, the better, and you can get that support. But initially, if you're looking for a way to support a friend, then it's just a case of coming to talk to us, and we can try and advise you and help you. But at the same time, we appreciate how difficult it can be for you to support a friend who's going through that. So to look after yourself as well, make sure you're not taking on too much of their anxiety and it's becoming too much of a burden for you. And if it is, obviously come and talk to us, and we'll support you too.
Is there anything you can do to make asking for help not seem as daunting? Because I know for a lot of people, and for me personally, it took a lot of time to actually ask.
I think we're always looking at new ways of trying to find more discreet ways of helping you guys access support. I know Mrs. Lovell has looked into a couple of things, and I know pre-COVID we used to have, I don't know if anybody remembers, but we used to have a little pastoral box outside our office and used to put your note in. And sadly, unfortunately, we that went with COVID. So I think we're always looking at different ways that we can offer you support without you feeling very daunted about coming to reach out for it. And we would obviously welcome, maybe that's something to think about, thinking about ways in which you feel you would seek support, and maybe easier ways that you would seek support. That came out wrong. Can I say that again?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
So maybe you guys can think about ways in which you feel you would be able to contact us and feel less daunted. Maybe there are different ways that you could think about.
Do you have any ideas, any of you, of things you could do? What would be an easier way? Perhaps we need to brainstorm it.
Maybe
more ways of anonymously
a
talking.
Google form,
Yeah.
but it's not attached to your.
Yeah, because people find it quite maybe embarrassing speaking to someone.
about how they feel.
It's hard to kind of like build up the courage.
Especially if you're asking for a friend and they've told you that they don't want pastoral involved, but you don't think they're safe. Is there a way of like having it like anonymously?
Done something in a lesson and they're like, oh, don't tell them because it's snitching on them.
Because there's definitely a lot of peer pressure against it for things like bullying and stuff, because you'll be seen as a snitch if you tell, but generally it's probably something that has upset you.
I think this is the thing, isn't it? And this is the tension. This is the fine line. Where we are, we want to support you. We want to help you, but equally we understand that there is probably a tendency to be viewed as a snitch if you do say something about somebody. And equally, it's really hard if you want support, but you're really scared about doing it. However, we kind of have a duty of care. Ultimately, we have a duty of care to you guys in terms of safeguarding you. So whilst I understand the context of having something anonymous, if there was something quite serious around that person's mental health or something at home had happened, we need to be able to speak to them, and we would always be discreet. You know, everything that we offer is confidential. The only time we would share anything is if there was a safeguarding concern. So if that person was at risk or somebody else was at risk, everything else remains confidential, and we're very careful about who we tell things to. As I said earlier, if you had something go on at home that had upset you, that you were struggling with, and we knew about it, we wouldn't share it with the teachers. We would just say that Joe was having a really difficult time at home right now. So it's really tricky, isn't it? We want you to be able to come forward, but how do we find the most effective way of you being able to do so safely? And I think that's the tension that we face at the moment.
Okay, fantastic.
I would say, just linked to two different situations maybe. If you had a friend that you were concerned about, on the school zone on the computer, you do have the opportunity to send us a message. Now, within that message, if you did say, I'm concerned about so-and-so, I really want them to know that I've told you about it, but can I get some advice? We could deal with that in a way whereby we could feedback to you or speak to them. We wouldn't need to mention any names, so that's possible. And secondly, in regards to bullying, if you are having concerns, we have dealt with things in ways whereby a student comes to see us, they've said, so-and-so is doing this to me, we said, right, okay, well, we're going to approach this and say, the teacher heard this, or we've seen this on CCTV, rather than say that it came from the student, and sometimes that can make it a more easy and manageable way to deal with it. So we do have options. Again, if you ever want to discuss it with us, without giving us the full information, we can let you know your options, you can discuss whether or not you'd like to tell us, or whether you're not quite ready for that yet.
Fantastic. I just want to say thank you very, very much for coming to talk to us today. And thanks. See you again. Bye. So we're joined with Miss Anu here to talk about mindfulness, which is something she's been trying to promote in school. And I know she's come around to lots of tutor groups to demonstrate mindfulness, but we're back to ask her a few more questions. I'm joined by 4 students from different year groups who've got some questions to ask Miss.
My question is, what is mindfulness and what can you do to be mindful?
Okay, so if you looked in a dictionary and look at what would be mindfulness, they would say is to pay attention, is to be aware. So you're going to say, well, aware of what? Aware of your thoughts and what you think in that present moment. And the reason why you need to do that is in order to not be caught in your thoughts. So I would say mindfulness for me, apart from after you become aware, is to become my own best friend. Because if you actually start listening to your talk, you will realise that we actually are really horrible to oneself. As soon as we don't say the right thing, or somebody look at us funny, or say something, then you have those little voices in your head that go, she looked at me, she doesn't like me, I don't like her, and it loads of horrible stuff that is in our head and makes us upset. But a lot of the time, you are not aware of those thoughts. You're caught in them And then you react and you start having argument with people and falling out with people, or upset yourself and talk to yourself badly. So mindfulness is becoming aware of what's going on in your head.
What can you do to be mindful?
Okay, so normally what we do to be mindful, the traditional thing is to do meditation. And meditation is just sitting down and not do anything. Which the first time I did that, I fell asleep, because you do that with your eyes closed. So it's simple, but it's quite challenging, because we never do that apart from when we go to bed. So when I first did it, I used it to fall asleep because I was struggling with my sleep. And then I started doing it in the morning. I'd sit up in my bed and I just listen to my thoughts, which usually is, I'm going to school, I'm going to teach so-and-so, I don't want to. So actually, I just notice and I become my own best friend, and I go, it's okay. You've been teaching for years. You'll be okay. It's a good day ahead. Enjoy it. And I just calm myself down. So that's the most traditional way, but you can do it in all sorts of ways. Like I'm drinking a cup of tea now. Quite often, I am mindful by just drinking my tea. I actually take the time to taste it. So you can do that with the square of chocolate. Instead of eating the whole bar of chocolate in front of the TV and not even noticing you're eating it, just stop, turn the TV off and go, I'm going to enjoy that chocolate. And try to take as long as possible to eat it. And then you really enjoy it and you don't need any more because you've actually tasted it.
So it's not necessarily about using an app or doing anything in particular. It's just about being more mindful of the moment that you're in, would you say?
I mean, you can do... I've got an app at the moment that I am trying, and it is really good because it's guiding you a little bit to find out, to put label on those thoughts that you're having. So that app's called My Life, and it's free. You can download it. I mean, I've managed to download it, so it is really easy to use. And it starts with telling you to just stop for 10 seconds and try to feel how your body feels from inside. So you see if you're tensed or if you're relaxed or not. And then you have to rate it to poor, stressed, mid, good, great. Okay. And then it says, what about your thoughts? And you do the same. And then it says add an emotion, and it gives you a list of things. So if you put mid, it will just say disconnected or calm or whatever. And you click them, and then you press submit, and then they come up with the meditation. Exactly for what you need. And with different times. So if you've only got 2 minutes, it'll give you a 2 minutes meditation, which is usually a breathing one. And if you've got 10 minutes, then it will actually give you a 10 minutes meditation. And they're very good because I've started listening to them, and I've been doing it for about 2 weeks now. And they're very good, and all sorts of different ones. So it's brilliant.
So how does mindfulness help people's mental health, would you say?
Well, I would say most people think that mindfulness is about relaxation. And it is, but it's a side effect. Meaning that, if you just relax, you'll go to the spa, or you will have a bath, or you'll go for a walk. Mindfulness is actually a brain training. So actually change your brain. And actually they've put people in the scan, to check what their brain does. And it changes. The connection changes. So it makes you become more positive and more accepting, more tolerant, more compassionate, have more empathy. And it's very difficult to stay nasty. As you know, I was quite nasty for a long time. And now, even with the challenging class, I struggle to be strict. Because...
More compassionate, would you say?
You can actually feel the pain or the struggle of the children and the, whoever you are with. So it's more difficult to argue with people.
Apart from meditation or mindful eating, how else could you relax and chill? Could you give some examples of how other people may be mindful?
So my favourite, and I do that every break time, is I go for a walk on my own, not with other people. And when I walk, I actually look at the surrounding around me. So I look at the flowers, I listen to the birds, I look at the sky and the clouds, I feel my feet on the floor, I try to use as many of my senses as possible. So instead of being caught in the thoughts, you're very present in what you're doing. You actually are going for the walk and noticing everything around. Instead of going, next I've got this lesson, I need to do that, blah, 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 blah. No, you are in the present moment. And it really makes you feel calmer. It's like a reset button. Okay, so walking is brilliant. Obviously, I mentioned mindful eating. I mean, the other thing I do is I listen to a lot of podcasts, actually, about how to rethink different things, because I'm a busy person. So either, you know, if I'm cooking, I actually put mental health podcasts about mindfulness and about brain training, anything I can actually practice, and that's brilliant.
How can social media impact your mental health?
Yeah, so I think I've mentioned that more or less, yeah. There's some brilliant podcasts, and actually my favourite website that I use regularly, because they do different podcasts every 2 weeks, is called Action for Happiness. And they've got different people coming in, you know, usually famous people like the Dalai Lama, done one, and journalists that we see on the BBC News and stuff like that. And they talk about all sorts of aspects of mindfulness and about mental health and how to be happier, which is what we all want. And it's really good. And obviously that app I mentioned is really good, but there's got loads of other apps as well. And you can just Google it on YouTube as well. You know, you're feeling stressed, 5-minute mindfulness for stress people. Boom, come up.
Do you think having a break from technology is useful for mindfulness?
You don't need technology for it, but I think as a beginner, unless you go to lessons or you have somebody to guide you, it's very difficult to know where to start. I mean, I would recommend as well for, you know, when you use a computer, mindfulness music, which is also, you know, when you do your homework, just put some mindfulness music on. It helps you calming and relaxing instead of going, why do I have to do homework again? It actually calms you down, and then you can start working.
And
I actually use that when I have challenging classes. I put music on so that they're calm. And I just put mindfulness music for concentration. And that's all sorts on there. And usually they have nice pictures as well of nature and mountain and waterfalls and all that type of thing. And it's really nice.
Can you demonstrate a short mindfulness session?
Yes, we can do one right now. Okay, so are we ready? So the first thing is actually how to sit down. Okay, you can do mindfulness standing up, lying down, okay, but the easiest one is when you sit down, because if you lie down you might fall asleep. If you stand up you might not look where you're going. Okay, so or you've got more, it's a little bit more complicated to start with. So what you do is you sit on a chair, but you don't lean on the back of the chair, because again you might fall asleep. Okay, and then you don't cross your legs either, because you want the body to feel aligned. So you put your feet flat on the ground and you try to ground yourself, and you move forward to the edge of your chair, and then your hands, you put them on your lap, okay, wherever you're comfortable, and then basically all you do is you lower your gaze, or you just close your eyes. It's even better to close your eyes, because then you're not conscious about what's happening around you, because what you want to do is you want to go within. So you want to hear what's going on inside. So you do that, you close your eyes, and then the first thing we try to do is we try to create a space between the thoughts and ourselves. And we do that by anchoring our body to the floor. So that just means putting your focus on your body. So can you feel the chair you're sitting on without moving, and then drop the weight of your body on the chair. Okay, do the same with your feet. Drop the weight of your legs and your feet on the floor. Okay, that's grounding yourself. And you do that with your shoulders as well. Just drop the shoulders. And then just scan your body. Feel if you are holding any stress, any tension anywhere, just in your mind, just say, let go. And just to let go of the tension. Okay, and then usually the next bit is we just focus on our breath. We try to feel our stomach rising and falling, our chest expanding and reducing, the air going through the nose and out of your mouth as you breathe. You might have all sorts of thoughts, but you just let them go. You don't need to follow them. You just listen to your body breathing. And just try to relax, because it's quite peaceful. And the last bit I try to do, usually when I've got only a little bit of time, is I try to, as I breathe out, I imagine that I breathe out all my problems, all my worries, all the bad stuff that happened during the day. I just let it go as I breathe out. And as I breathe in, I imagine that I'm breathing in relaxation, calm, and inner peace. And you try to just hold on to that nice feeling of being chilled out. And then you can open your eyes. Okay, so it's quite simple. It doesn't take long. And if you do that regularly, you will notice that you will become far less reactive to all the annoying people that are in this world.